Hello, everyone. My name is Leslie Giovanna Velasco, and I am currently attending at Solano Community College. For my final project for Women in American History, I will discuss the three topics that caught my attention as I went through the lessons in class and during my independent study. So, let's get started. The first topic that interested me was Chapter 8, which was Power and Politics, Women in the Progressive Era, which started from the 1900s to the 1920s. After reading the chapter and having it discussed in class, I was not aware that feminism and the female labor force began at that period. This event happened when women started working in the industry, which would drastically change the economy. It also represented the beginning of true modernity and female roles. It also played a major role in going on strikes as women wanted to be seen and treated equally in the garment and textile industries, because at that time that's what they're mostly working for. The way I can describe this event, I would say is like progressive, no pun intended, bare minimum, and optimistic. In my opinion, this topic is significant to my understanding of history because of how things started. Before this, women's roles were only to tend to the household, care for children, and just to be good wives to their husbands. And to fast forward in the early 20th century, many changes occurred that, while it is not what women expect, it still is impactful. Another thing that I would like to add is that immigrant women were most likely to be the typical women, working women in the progressive era. It was crucial to them since white women were mostly rich, and we can all agree that it was a lower class crucial factor. The trade union movement did not assist women, but only did it with men. Unfair as always. Eventually, things would change again in the upcoming years, which brings me to my second topic, which would be Chapter 10, Beyond the Feminine Mystique, which started in 1945 to 1965. This was an era that I can recognize immediately because if we just talk about like the basic English, segregation and civil rights pops into my head immediately. I love the story of Rosa Parks. If you guys don't know, Rosa Parks was an African American woman who refused to give up her seat on a bus that was for a white customer. That still makes me so mad to this day of how inhumane it was to treat a group of people just by the color of their skin. Come on, like, we all bleed the same color, and we were all created uniquely. Black women were treated poorly by racial discrimination, which the civil rights movement started to play in like the late 60s, I believe, while middle class women were successful with having a job. They somehow were sick and tired of being like tied up with like gender roles in the households, especially in a marriage, and having expectations for themselves. Immigrant women were like not getting paid at all since they had like a language barrier plus faced discrimination in the workplace. What I can describe on this time period was motivating, it was livid, but also influential in a way. This is random, but it literally just popped in my head right now. It's just, why do good people have to die? Like, Martin Luther King Jr. and John F. Kennedy were like one of the only people I like in that certain time period, in my opinion, who really cared about the American people. And sadly, they were murdered for that. It's just crazy how how crazy the world works, Well, it was shocking to me reading this because, not because it's like important, but to realize how women were treated based on class, race, and career, and what to expect to overcome the injustice that took place, which that will soon escalate to protest. That's honestly what makes it meaningful. So for the last topic that had me enlightened to me was Chapter 11, which is Modern Feminism in American Society, which started in 1965 to 1980. Aside from like the glamour and great music at the time, a lot of people forget what went down in that era. In 1968, African American women formed the Black Women's Liberation Committee, In 1970, Chicana activists created the Comisión Femenil Mexicana to organize women into leadership roles. I mean, this was a time when everyone came together and went out to protest to end the Vietnam War, which at that time was happening, demanding equity and justice for both sexes, religions, sexuality, and races for like the entire nation. The civil rights movement still influences today as I speak. I mean, like the one protest I can remember is when Roe v. Wade was overturned. It really devastated many women in the country. I would describe this period as innovative, hopeful, and free, just because knowing that this was a time when women finally had the opportunity to speak out the issues that were happening. I mean, I found this topic interesting because of the content displayed. I guess it is refreshing that men realize that women do have the power and they deserve the respect. This moment in history is symbolic for everyone knowing that it shaped society as we know it today. It opened barriers for women and proved that fighting for a cause is possible. I mean, if I can apply this to my life, I would say I once had an incident where I was catcalled and assumed that I was stupid because I was a girl. Or when my mom told me that to have someone accompany me when I go to the restroom because you never know when a creepy man comes up and takes advantage of me. When it comes to my future decisions, I will take in consideration of how society works and expect the unexpected because this country has always been a white male dominated nation. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you for listening, guys, and have a good one.